If you are an African American person and you have interaction with law enforcement, there are 10 tips that you need to keep in mind at all times. I'm going to share those 10 tips with you in this video. Stay with me. Hello, everybody. I am attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. And each and every week, we bring you one legal analysis of some trending story regarding politics, policies, personalities, or pop culture to empower you with the information you need to defy this unjust legal system and to nullify systemic racism. If that interests you, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell so that you will get notified every time we upload one of our powerful and informative videos. Now, before we get into today's message, go to Amazon, get a copy of my book. If you have an African-American son in public schools, this is the book that you want. This should be on your nightstand. This should be on your coffee table because it is filled with information to help you navigate your son through the public school system. Hey, everyone. I am attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. Recently, I took a look at our analytics and I noticed something shocking. Many of you watch our videos, and I believe you enjoy them, but you haven't subscribed yet. What are you waiting for? Again, I was shocked because I know our content is empowering and informative. Plus, our 2024 goal is to have 150,000 subscribers before the end of the year. Please help us by hitting that subscribe button, especially you young folks. We particularly want to increase our number of young subscribers. Thanks for all your continued support. We appreciate it very much. All right, so let's get into this. 10 tips for African Americans doing cop stops. Let's go to another screen. All right, so let's lay some groundwork here. Let's lay some foundation. Let's have the proper frame of mind as we're looking at this information. So cops are much more likely to kill blacks than any other group. That's based on stats. That's not anecdotal. That's just the facts of living in this country as an African American person. Although half of the people shot and killed by police are white, Black Americans are shot at a disproportionate rate. That means this. Let me explain what this means. We African Americans account for roughly 14% of the U.S. population. So you would think we should be about 14% of those killings, but we're not. We're actually killed by police at more than twice the rate of white Americans. That is disproportionality, and that's why I feel inclined to give you this information. As a matter of fact, one of the subscribers, one of the commenters, asked me if I knew of a book, a simple reading book about the law that she could give a friend who has an autistic black child. And I didn't know one, I don't know one. In fact, sort of gave me an idea. I think I need to write a book on that very topic. But in the meantime, I thought that I would do this video so that she could provide this video to her friend and her friend could show this to her autistic son. So please share this video. This could save lives because how many times have we seen innocent, unarmed black men and women killed by police? We just recently saw that in the Sonia Massey case. We don't want to ever see that again. That is awful. That is heart-wrenching. We don't want to do that. And I'll tell you, I'll be the first to tell you that you could do all the 10 things that I'm going to go through today, and still the police could kill you. But at least these 10 suggestions will decrease that chance. All right, so let's go back to the other screen, and I will tell you what those 10 things are. So first, obey the law. That's always going to be a big help when you are dealing with law enforcement, because one of the first things they're going to do is they're going to check your background. They're going to run a check to see if you have any warrants. And if you got warrants, that's going to sort of heighten things automatically. Or if you're in the middle of or just came from or you're on your way to breaking the law, that's probably not going to be a good situation. So first and foremost, obey the law. That's number one. I had to put that at the top of the list. Obey the law. be a law-abiding citizens. Doesn't mean at all that police officers don't kill law-abiding African-American people. They certainly do. But still, again, we're talking about increasing your chance of living through these interactions. So, number one, obey the law. Number two, don't talk. What do I mean by that? You don't have to talk to the police. You have a Fifth Amendment right to be silent. Now, in some states, some jurisdictions, you are required to give your identity, name, address, that sort of thing. For example, here in Texas, if you are in your car driving and you're pulled over by the police, you do have to give your name, your address, and so on. But if you're on the streets and a police officer asks your name, you don't have to do that. You don't have to provide your name here in Texas. I don't know the law in all these jurisdictions, but my point is, don't talk to the police. Do not do it. Don't talk to them, especially if you are the subject of an investigation. You have a Fifth Amendment right to be quiet. Quite often, you cannot talk yourself out of trouble if you are indeed in trouble. So the best thing to do is just to be quiet. Exercise your Fifth Amendment rights. Okay? So, number two, don't talk to the police. However, give them whatever the law requires, whatever necessary information. Other than that, you don't have to answer any of their questions. Number three, ask for an attorney. Again, if you are the subject of a criminal investigation, you don't have to talk to the police. And in order to invoke that right, you need to ask for an attorney. Just that simple. All you have to do is say, I would like to speak with my attorney or with an attorney. And at that moment, at that precise moment, the police officer should stop questioning you. All right? There should be no more calls for that officer asking you any more questions. And when you ask for the attorney, now do remember to be quiet. If you ask for a lawyer and you keep talking, now you just basically revoked the fact that you asked for the attorney. So indeed, stay quiet after you ask for the lawyer. Number four, refuse consent. Don't consent to anything. Don't consent to searches. Don't consent to any of that, because what is required by the law is that the police officer has to have a warrant before they search you, a warrant before they arrest you. However, there are exceptions, exigent circumstances where they don't have to get a warrant if they have probable cause and so on. But the general rule is they got to get a warrant. So don't consent. Force them to get that warrant. So when you refuse to consent, you're basically saying, go get the warrant. Go in front of a magistrate, give them whatever evidence you think you have, and let that magistrate give you a warrant. Don't consent to any searches. You say, well, why should I refuse consent if I know I don't have anything? Still, just listen to me. Don't do it. Some of these cops out here will plant evidence on you. So don't do it. Don't think, well, if I don't allow him or her to search my car, then they're going to think that I'm a criminal. They're going to think that there's something in here that shouldn't be. So why not? Just don't do it. Trust me, don't do it. I've been doing this many years. Don't consent to any searches in your home, in your vehicle, your purse, your pockets, your wallet, nothing. No consent. Number five, record the interaction safely. And I stress, safely. Don't pull your phone out in a way that's going to cause the police officer to think that you're pulling a gun on him or her. Do it safely. All right? Make sure it is safely. If you're going to reach for your phone, let the officer know. Officer, I'm getting ready to reach for my phone so that I can record this. You have the right to record that interaction. And I am telling you how important that is. I can't tell you how many cases we had that depended upon videotape. Now you say, well, but don't they have body cam? Aren't they wearing body cameras? Isn't there a dashboard camera that is capturing everything, or maybe somebody else? Don't assume that. Just record it, but do it safely. Don't do it in a way that causes the police officer to think that you're reaching for something other than your phone. Stay calm and stay respectful. All right? I can't stress that enough. Things can go left if you are being disrespectful or if you're heightening things up with the way you're talking and the way you're behaving and the way you're acting. No. Stay calm and stay respectful. Ask to leave. Now, let me explain what I'm saying. If the officer stops you and doesn't have reasonable suspicion or doesn't have probable cause, or the officer has not detained you, then you're free to leave. But what I would do is I would ask the officer, are you detaining me? And if the officer says no, then leave. Respectfully leave. Well, then, officer, I'm about to leave. Or may I leave? If you're not detained, you can leave. But of course, you need to ask, officer, am I detained? And if the officer says that you're not detained, then leave. You got the right to leave. If they have detained you, certainly if they have arrested you, then that's a whole different ballgame altogether. That's why you want to ask, am I detained? And if you're not detained, then leave. You don't have no obligation to stand there and talk and answer any questions. You see, a whole lot of people get themselves in a whole lot of trouble, or situations tend to go left because they continue to talk to the cop, thinking that they're obligated to do so. You're not obligated. So the best thing to do is try to cut that interaction short by asking that officer, have you detained me? If the answer is no, then tell the officer, I'm leaving. Just that simple. Don't resist. Under no circumstances, don't resist. If the officer intends to place you under arrest and ask you to put your hands behind your back, do so. Don't fight. Standing out there on the street corner, late at night, or even midday, it is a bad idea. It's a horrible idea. Don't do it. Don't fight. Don't wrestle. Don't push. Don't kick. None of that. Just calmly comply with the officer's command to put your hands behind your back and let him or her arrest you. Don't resist. We'll deal with that in court. If the arrest was unlawful, or if the search was unlawful, or if you think the officer is mistreating you, we'll deal with that in court. On the street corner is not the time to deal with that. You don't adjudicate your case out there on the street corner because the United States Supreme Court has given those officers a lot of power and authority on the streets. You're not going to win that fight. So comply, allow him or her to arrest you, and when you go to jail, get bonded out, call your attorney, and your attorney can fight that out in court. But whatever you do, don't resist. And along with that, don't run. Don't run. If you run, that's another charge. Here in Texas, it's called evading arrest. If you run on foot, that is a misdemeanor, but if you get in your car and run, that's a felony offense. So don't run. Don't resist. Don't run. If the officer wants to arrest you, again, comply. Don't resist. Don't run. Whatever you do. And last of all, avoid criminals. Why do I say that? Because for obvious reasons. Why should you get jammed up because somebody else is breaking the law? You need to be smart, you need to be wise, and avoid folks that you know are involved in crime. Like I told you from the beginning, you should obey the law, and therefore you should have friends who are also obeying the law. Now, let me just give you one real quick example of why that's important. Let's say you're in a car with one or more people who have drugs on them. In Texas, I don't know about other jurisdictions, but everybody in that car could be charged because one person has drugs. And it may not even be you, but you still can be charged. You still can be charged with drug possession, and it's the other person's drugs, simply because you're in the car with that person. So you want to avoid criminals. You can get jammed up just being at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person or people. So avoid criminals. That's one simple example of why you should not allow folks who have drugs on them inside your car. You shouldn't get inside the car of people that you know have drugs. You shouldn't get in the car or visit someone's house that you know deal with drugs or any kind of contraband, because you can be charged. Although it's not yours. Here in Texas, you're still deemed to have possession because you have the control, you have the custody, you have the management of the contraband. So again, avoid criminals. All right. Now, let's just quickly look at those 10 things. Number 1, obey the law. Number 2, don't talk. You have a Fifth Amendment right to be quiet. Number 3, ask for an attorney. And when you do, be silent. Don't talk anymore. Number 4, refuse consent. Don't consent to any searches. Record safely. Number 5, safely record. All right. Don't pull your phone out if it's going to cause the police officer to be afraid. In fact, you can say, "Officer, I want to record this. Can I reach in my pocket and grab my phone?" All right. Number 6, stay calm. Stay calm, stay respectful. Do not escalate that situation by getting out of pocket, by getting angry or disrespectful. Next, ask to leave. If you're not detained, then you should be able to leave. Don't just walk away. Ask first, am I detained? If not, then tell the officer you're about to leave. You have the right to do so. Don't resist. If the officer wants to place you under arrest, comply. Just absolutely allow him or her to arrest you. Don't resist in any way. Don't run. Do not run. If you're not going to resist, obviously you don't need to run either. In Texas, if you run on foot, that's a misdemeanor offense. But if you do it in your car, that's a felony offense. Don't run. Last of all, avoid folks who commit crimes. Don't let them in your car. Don't you ride in their car. Don't visit their house. Don't you let them visit your house. I know that sounds a bit draconian, a bit extreme, but I'm just giving you hard, cold facts and the law. Because whatever they possess, whatever they got, you could easily get charged with it. Just imagine you're in the car with someone who has drugs, and as soon as the blue lights go off, they take what's in their pocket without you even knowing it and just throw it on the floor of your car or of the car, and you don't know anything about it. I've seen that many times. I've represented people where that has happened many times. So when the cop finds those drugs or that contraband, it could be a gun, it could be any number of things, they can charge you with it and you had nothing to do with it. So avoid criminals. All right, so those are 10 things that I think, from my many years of experience practicing law, that can make a police stop safer, that can keep you from being charged with criminal offenses, that can just make that whole situation go better. Now, by all means, sadly and unfortunately, people have done everything that I just said, and police officers have yet killed them. But I stand by the fact that you will decrease your chances of having a bad run-in with cops if you do the 10 things that I just said. All right? So I am Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers, and this is the content we bring you on a weekly basis. Until the next video, peace.